Sounds good.
And I believe we are now live.
Woohoo!
Okay. Do all of the things. Get all the notifications out.
Yeah, I gotta do that too.
Beautiful. Okay.
Go.
Wait for a few more people to show up.
Yeah. No, that's not how that's supposed to work. Okay. Got it. Woohoo!
Perfect. Okay.
Yay.
I guess we'll start. So we are back for our monthly Tell It Again book club. This time we are Awaken, the last and final book in the Abandoned series by Meg Cabot, where we have got the story of Pierce, who is our Persephone type character who's dealing with the consequences of dying and coming back to life and everything that is attached to it. Now, there will be spoilers because this is book 3. There is no way to talk about this book without spoiling a lot of things. Plus,
and April and I are notorious for spoiling things anyway.
Right. But feel free to hang out. You know, we don't judge people for anything. But
you want to spoil yourself? That's on you.
Exactly. So I'm gonna shoot it over to you, Shae, to get your first rough feels of how you feel this last book went.
Okay, so I feel like this book had some pacing issues off the bat. Like, I felt like, compared to the last book, this book was such breakneck speed that too much info was thrown at us and we were told rather than shown a lot of things. And that didn't sit as well with me. And then, as is typical for YAs from this era, the end was too tidy. Like, it was too convenient, too perfectly tied in a bow. I mean, I like a happy ending and a solid ending. Do not get me wrong on this. But this was, of its era, everything very conveniently, you know, there weren't any huge losses or anything like that within the end of this novel. I mean, there were some, but not the ones that you should have had, maybe. And the whole yo-yo with John, I kind of called pretty early on. Like, that seemed logical, I guess. And I felt like there was some unnecessary drama with Pierce's family thrown in there just because she could.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. This was
just kind of in the middle. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's just in the middle.
It moved,
and for its era, it was good.
Yeah, it moved really, really fast. And I think the thing about that, and that I really got grumpy about, is the fact that we introduced new characters that then in turn had a strong reason for being in the plot, but we never got to know them because...
And we easily could have introduced them in book 2 when we had all of this extra time.
Exactly, because then we just like took off, and they had a place in the final part of the story, in the climax of the story, and supposedly she creates this like strong enough bond with them that they give up their afterlife,
which is really hard to believe because they spend a matter of hours together.
Exactly, and especially given how religious one of the girls were.
Yeah, like if these people, like this had happened the first time Pierce was in the underworld, and then she had all that time to get to know them again, that would have been a totally different discussion. And I would have been much more on board with that. But
yeah, that was probably my biggest. But why?
Again,
why
for me, that was part of the convenience thing. Again,
yeah, because you're right. We at one point we did think that we did have several losses, but magically
everybody's
some of them
fine.
came back, or they just were knocked unconscious. It wasn't an actual death, which
Right.
I get. You kind of want that happy ending, but at the same time, it's a Hades and Persephone story. There's a little darkness to this.
People could have died and it would have been fine.
Exactly. You kind of
maybe
want
this
that.
is because I've read so much adult fantasy in my life now. Like, people not dying in the end feels way too convenient anymore.
Well, it might
Sanderson
be,
has corrupted me.
Yeah, it might be the fact that we're a little older now. I mean, we're about twice the age of the people that this is geared towards.
Oh, I'm definitely twice the age. I could have given birth to the target audience here, so
we kind of expect
let's throw no shade. That's where I'm at.
We've lived a little bit more life, and we understand the harshness of life, and it kind of balances out that like happy-go-lucky part of life, and so it makes things a little bit more sweeter when you
Agreed.
get some of that.
But I can honestly say that teenage me would have been all over this series. Because when I had YA books, they were nothing like this. Like, Twilight wasn't even out when I was a teen. So, like, if I had had this in my teen years, teenage Shae would have been all over this and ranting and raving about it forever.
And then we have Jeff's comment here. Sounds like watching an 80s action show.
Pretty much. That's actually fairly accurate.
I would agree with that. Yeah, we just kept on moving.
Gotta love the accuracy of that comment. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we had that hurricane, which I thought was gonna play throughout the whole book.
Right.
But it had like this much space. And then all of a sudden we're playing with this, we're caught in bed by my parents like storyline that was just so cringy.
I made a mess. It's okay.
Was just so cringy. And then the way her parents reacted is like a Disney Channel movie.
Oh my gosh. It was so after school special, it was not even funny.
Yeah, because we got Dad here who's now like, okay, I want to exploit all of your abilities to help make money. And Mom's over in denial over, okay, so, my girlfriend, or my daughter's boyfriend, just burnt the carpet with lightning inside the house. I mean, nothing's wrong. It's fine.
Everything's fine. Classic denial mom.
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, Mom and Dad weren't together at the time, but they were together that same night. And so she's like a total hypocrite about it. I'm like, come on, Mom.
Oh, I do have to say, I'm a little sad that we decided to keep the uncle out of the loop since it affected him so much.
Yeah, seriously. Like, why wasn't he in the loop? Like, if anybody should have been in the loop, it should have been him.
Right. Because, I mean, he's the one who had to go to prison because of the start of a lot of this kind of stuff. And he's probably the one who could, like, mentally
and the selfishness
of
her mom to just sacrifice him like that. Like, I was so mad when I found out that piece of information. I'm like, excuse you? That is not okay. It's one of those instances where YA just has bad parents. And it happened a lot in this era of YA writing.
Yeah.
But
the 90s and early
I'm so
2000s.
glad that we're kind of over that now, where parents are at least involved in having conversations with their kids. Not just cursory, you're using protection, right? Oh. Like, it breaks my brain. It just breaks my brain.
Well, and it's one of those things, it's like, now that I'm older and I've got a little perspective, I'm like, these people were young ones. They're not dumb. Why are they treating their kids like they're dumb?
Like they're dumb.
They weren't dumb. I mean, it just, I mean, I guess it made for some entertaining characters at some point in storytelling, but yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, no.
Suppose we didn't really talk about how we came to the conclusion of the Furies and I believe, what is his name? Thinatos?
Yeah, and throwing that in at the last minute, I'm like,
We had 3
Okay.
books to start this plot line, and then it's just like out of nowhere. It's like we have
Like, you
death.
couldn't have dropped a hint that he was Thanatos in book 1, even book 2, when he was in the middle of everything. Like,
Yeah, or planted the seeds that this being, this entity, had been in control of this family line for how long?
right.
Um,
Like,
and then it's just
John
all
should
of a
have
sudden,
known.
yeah, and all of a
Why
sudden it's
wasn't
just
he talking
Alex.
about it? Right?
If we want to talk about convenience,
Good Lord.
Alex.
Alex. The biggest convenience of all, I feel like.
So
I
he
mean,
started out
people
dead.
magically coming back to life happened all the time. But that convenience of Thanatos immediately going into Alex was like, oh gosh, really? And of course, Thanatos likes being in Alex better than he liked being in Seth or whatever his name was.
Of course.
Like,
Well,
ugh.
and I thought I had a feel of who Alex was. And then he drastically changed in book 2.
Right.
And then in book 3, I don't know who he was either. I feel like he was like 3 different characters throughout this whole storyline.
There wasn't consistency in his story.
I liked him at the beginning, but the second 2 books, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be his cousin.
No, I wouldn't either.
I couldn't put up with him.
I wouldn't either.
He was
Maybe
so
we're awful, but
hyper-focused.
man, I would not put up with him as family. It's like, excuse you, sir.
Uh-huh. I'm like, okay, I know this is confusing, but you do not need to act that way. And let's back it up just a bit, and do not take that tone with me.
Right? It's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I am as much a victim in this as you are. So, excuse you. If not more so, because Grandma was going after her, not him.
This is true.
So he can just be quiet.
And then we got poor Grandma. We have poor Grandma who's been possessed for who knows how long. And then when she's not possessed anymore, they hate her just as much.
Because she's a curmudgeon-y old lady.
She's got like no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Nope.
I don't understand why Pierce's mom was always trying to defend her mother, when at the same time her mother had always done these kind of things to her.
No idea.
What?
Family dynamics, man. They stress me out. But yeah, overall, this ending was like a 3 for me. It was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad necessarily. Just convenient and of its time.
Yeah, and I think I hit about a 3.5 just because I read it fairly quickly and it was entertaining for what it was.
Right. It was entertaining, and teenage me would have loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that was 20 years ago that would teenage me exist. So this would have been fantastic 20 years ago in fiction.
Teenage me has grown up just a little bit.
Yeah, teenage me is long dead and buried. And that's okay. But yeah, like I say, target demographic, it's still a really solid novel, and I think a lot of people could still really enjoy it. Because there are parts of this story that did hold up well over the time gap, but this ending does not. So just know it's a very dated, old, convenient ending, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and it does. I do like how it handles some darker, like, personal topics. How it doesn't
Agreed.
shy away from adding that to characters.
Which is why I think it still holds up, because it has those elements, and they're done well.
Right. Because we learned at the end that what was Chloe, I think was the new girl's name.
Yeah.
That died in the car crash at the hurricane. We learn her whole backstory with her father and the whole reason that...
Yeah, in like 2 sentences, I'm like, excuse me, this could have been really interesting.
That would have been so good to explore either in book 2, starting in book 2, and then developing through this 3rd book and like rounding that out. That would have been perfect. And then I do have to say,
that face, tell me.
Well, okay, because we have the whole Persephone story where, you know, she spends part-time with her mom and part-time down below. And so I get how Meg Cabot tried to kind of pull the same kind of concept through with the fact that, hey, maybe we should go buy our own house, and every once in a while we can kind of like timeshare responsibilities down below. and then just live up above and have a family? Because you want to bring kids into this responsibility?
Ugh.
I, as much as I love the caretaker and his partner, I don't see these two relatively young people wanting to live next door to him.
Yeah, no.
But that's just me.
Yeah. Then again, John is ancient, so he might be the balancing factor there.
It's true. It's just, I'm trying to balance how her youth is kind of driving most of the story, even though John is a very old being.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who's like, well, we can't take a vacation. This is my responsibility. We can't just, like, up and leave. And she's like, let's just go. It's fine. There's people here. Which, I get. But I don't think she fully comprehends the responsibility of what just happened. She literally just pulled a bunch of other people into this whole thing that they're never going to get out of.
Nope.
Yeah.
Now, what would be interesting is if Meg Cabot ever revisited this world to have it be their children dealing with the fallout of all of this.
It would be interesting.
Because, early on we can have something happen to them, they're kidnapped, or, heaven forbid, they actually are gone for good. And so the kids have to come in and clean up the mess. Like, that could be a really interesting story.
It could be a fun take.
Yeah. So if she ever revisited it, that's how I would want to see it, rather than these same characters, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, because I know Meg Cabot has been picked up by the Disney Channel before. And, of course, we've got Princess Diary with Disney in general.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe even, not necessarily even written format. I mean, maybe, like, a comic.
As a TV show or a comic or something, yeah. Like, there's potential for the world to be revisited somehow, but I don't think I'd revisit this particular group of characters unless they were, like, older, aged up kind of a thing. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I could see that. I would agree with that. Okay, so
I think that's everything with this one.
Yeah, now that we've kind of like blown through our thoughts on all that, do you want to talk about what we are going to do next month on your channel?
Yes. Well, next month, what we're going to do is we are going to get current with Requiem of the Rose King. So we'll be reading Volume 10, Volume 11, Volume 12, and Volume 13, which is my favorite cover in the entire series. But yes, like, I am so excited to do this. Volume 14 doesn't come out till November, and we are always on hiatus November and December, if you're not familiar with how we run the book club. But I am super excited to get current with everybody again and to have it all fresh on my mind before the new volume comes out. Because we got 13 like early this spring, and now we're getting the next one in November. So I'm like dying for the next volume. And I need to talk about people as to why.
It will finally be caught up, and it'll be great.
It will be fantastic. But we have been reading the entire series. If you haven't started it yet, there's plenty of time because there's only the 13 volumes right now. And, you know, most people can read like a volume a day. And so you've got plenty of time in September to get it read before we'd be doing the live show, which is always the last Sunday of the month at the same time. And I'm not traveling around that time, so I should be good. I don't have anything going on late September, so.
Nope.
You're like, yeah, no.
Nope.
So I will very happily be ready to talk about Requiem of the Rose King next month.
Yes.
And then, you know, this whole series from Meg Cabot has been fun. Like, it really has.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm glad we kind of broke it up the way we did.
And I believe...
Because I think if it had been 3 months straight, I wouldn't have done it.
No.
I
don't think I would have appreciated this read as much as I did if we had read it back to back to back.
Agreed.
I needed some time to just be like, okay, this is the reason it is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. It is a product of its time.
Yes.
Just kind of go with that.
Exactly.
So next month, your channel, what is
Let me pull
day
up
is
my
that?
calendar.
That's September
The
26th?
26th.
Yeah.
Yep.
We might, here's the next month. Next month, I believe we're doing small favors.
In October, yes.
Yes. The real question is, do we want to do the live show on Halloween?
I'm down for it on
Okay.
Halloween.
Because I think that would be perfect.
I think that would be the perfect way to end out the year is to do it on Halloween.
There might be a few doorbell dings here and there while we're doing the live stream because we have a lot of kiddos who come through. But
most our kiddos tend to trick or treat on Saturday instead of Sunday when it lands on a Sunday, so we should be okay.
So yes, if you would like to join us for reading the rest of Requiem of the Rose Queen or King, I'm changing titles now. It's fine. It'll be over on Shae's channel next month. The information is down below so that you can go subscribe to her and keep track of all that kind of stuff because she puts out amazing content.
Thank you.
Otherwise, the following month, we will be doing a Small Favors, which I'm super excited about. I've had on my shelf for a while. I haven't read it yet. I don't know why.
Remind me what fairy tale is that one?
Rumpelstiltskin.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it being one that's like more abstract, where it's not used as often.
Yeah, so, then it's hilarious that Rumpelstiltskin is all of a sudden like the fairy tale to retell right now because I believe it's Gilded Something by Melissa Meyer. She's doing a Rumpelstiltskin as well.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. Is it in the same world as Lunar Chronicles?
I don't think so.
She's
but don't
going all straight up fantasy instead of a little more sci-fi. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I did see
we might be visiting that one.
Yeah. So I did see we got a couple more faces in the chat. So thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Of course, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe down below, hit the bell, do all the things. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I heart all of your beautiful faces. Bye.